Hey everybody, welcome to Scarpad's Comic Treks. I'm Scarpad. And today we're going to give you a little bit more of an in-depth look at my Mego collection. I had a video up earlier this week where I showed my toy displays, but here I'm going to actually show you the collection when it was in its packaging. Part of the charm of Mego is not only the figure, but the packaging. They do some terrific packaging. And while I'm not a mint and box type guy, I do unpackage and display all my figures. I did take some pictures of these in the boxes because I just love the boxes. And at the end of the video, I'll show and talk about some of the stuff that's coming out in the next wave of figures from Mego in 2020. So to start off with, of course, Mego is known for the Star Trek figures, and here's Mr. Spock, one of the many variants in his Starfleet dress uniform. It's a really nice figure. The horror line, Freddy Krueger. They had a couple variants of this. One with I think a brown glove, which is the one I have. And they also have one, I believe, just with the regular glove. And it does come with the hat. This is a nice figure. The classic Frankenstein, the green Frankenstein. And he comes with chains. But the packaging is really nice on these figures. I really like the packaging, and the back packaging has a full display art as well. The flocked Wolfman. They make 3 different variants of the Wolfman. One with a blue shirt, one with a red shirt, and this one's the flocked, which means it has the natural fur hair. And probably this is one of my favorite figures of all the new Megos I picked up. And this is from a Lon Chaney movie called Face of the Screaming Wolfman. The Bela Lugosi, they do have the estate rights to Bela Lugosi, and this is one of a couple variants. I think they put out this Dracula figure not only in a black and white version with a full black and white cape, but this one with a full red cape. I just love the red cape, and so that's the one I picked up. But I love that artwork on the package there with Bella staring at you. This is the other Face of the Screaming Werewolf variant. As you can see, he's got his blue shirt and pants. Just has the molded plastic face on this one. Okay, so next up we have the Romulan commander from Star Trek. And they make a couple different variants on this figure as well. And I think I have both variants here, so you'll see the other one with a slightly different costume. This one comes with the red phaser, classic Star Trek phaser. One of my favorite figures in the line, Nosferatu. I love that detailing on the coat, and the package art is just fantastic. And the thing about that, I tell you, these figures cost between 12 and 14 bucks at retail, and it's just some phenomenal sculpting on the heads and design. Rachel Baker is one of the design seamstresses that does quite a few of the clothes on these figures, and then Andrew Koval does a lot of the head sculpts. But there's a few different people that work on these for Mego. A variation on Dracula. This is what I call the Pimp Dracula, with that purple coat. And actually the head of this figure is the Romulan that we saw earlier. This is the Romulan head, slightly altered. But this is the Pimp Dracula. They put out a few different 2-packs. Didn't buy a whole lot. I think they have one that's a mirror universe. Kirk and Spock, I do have that one, although I don't think I have a picture for this. This is the I Dream of Jeannie 2-pack that comes with Jeannie and Captain Nelson and the bottle. And this one I kept in a 2-pack because I like this is kind of like a mock-up of Jeannie's, inside Jeannie's bottle. Mr. Sulu from the Star Trek line. And this was the first time Sulu was made in the line, I believe. One of the 14-inch figures, Mego didn't have the rights to do anything lesser than a 14-inch figure for DC superheroes because I believe it was maybe Hasbro that had the line. But coming in 2020, they are going to do a line of their classic 8-inch figures in the box with the Windows panels. And I do have a picture of that at the end of this. We're going to go over and show some of the prototypes they showed at the 2020 toy fair. And but this is Harley Quinn, the 14-inch Harley Quinn. All right, so we have the 14-inch Joker. Really a nice head sculpt on this piece. And the clothes are really, I like the vest on him. 14-inch black Batman. This was done at the San Diego Comic-Con version. Lieutenant Uhura from Star Trek. One of the weaker figures from Mego. I don't like the head sculpt on this. Doesn't look anything like Nichelle Nichols, although the costume and the body type is fine. I know that some of the Mego collectors have swapped out the heads and put a little bit better head on Uhura here. Mr. Spock with tribbles. A lot of figures comes with pack-ins. And this was one of the releases that had Mr. Spock with the tribbles. And I like Spock. The sculpt is pretty decent on this. And the uniform and the phasers and communicators are painted and look pretty nice. Captain Kirk in the tribbles in the green alternate uniform. Not a big fan of the head sculpt here. I don't think it's okay, but I don't think it looks a lot like Shatner. The eyebrows don't really make it. A lot of people have done head swaps on this one as well. From the rock and roll line, the Demon Kiss figure. A really nice head sculpt here of Gene Simmons. Of course, I don't think Mego got the license, so they can't actually call them the name of the band member. They have to actually use the character names. So we get the Catman, the Star Child, the Spaceman, and the Demon. And he comes with his guitar. And here we get the Star Child, Paul Stanley, also with a guitar. The Invisible Man. Didn't really like this figure all that. They decided to go with a clear sculpt on the heads and hands to replicate this figure being invisible, but I don't really think it stands out. They actually used the head from the Al Bundy Married with Children figure. So I took mine, and you'll see in my other video, and I actually wrapped up and used some bandage material and wrapped the hands and the head so it looks more like the classic figure. And this figure comes with the glasses and the experimental tab flask. One of two Elvis figures. This is Elvis from the Jailhouse Rock movie. I love the detail on this costume. And they pose these figures real nice, so people want to keep them in the box. They get a nice pose. And the Elvis here comes with a microphone. Interesting, this Elvis looks a lot like Kurt Russell. If you look at the head sculpt, and Kurt Russell played Elvis in a TV movie back in the 70s. Another 14-inch figure, the 14-inch classic Batman. This was one of the first figures from Mego, and one of the problems with this figure is the neck's kind of really long on this. They do have replacement heads available so that if you want to fix this issue and make it look a little bit more normal. From the TV line, Elizabeth Montgomery, Bewitched. Here we have the 14-inch Flash. Really nice, well done figure. I like the yellow boots here. The 14-inch classic, actually it's the new 52 Superman from the New 52 series. The cape is designed really well on this figure. The only problem with these 14-inch figures are the bodies are really, really loose on a lot of these, so they have trouble standing up. But there are ways to tighten up the bands and the bodies, and I bought some stands, so they stand on their own pretty well. But some of these figures can be had for between $12 and $20, so you can't really go wrong for that price. The variant on the Rivaling Commander here, we see the sash is a little different. You got the red uniform. Bruce Lee figure is really nice. I like the pose on this figure here, and he comes with the nunchucks, and the head sculpt on the Bruce Lee is done really, really well. Two more 14-inch figures, the Green Lantern and the Aquaman. Aquaman comes with that nice trident, and of course the Green Lantern comes with his lantern. Both of these figures are really nice. Muhammad Ali. Now this was a classic figure done by Mego in the 70s, and they redid it here, and he comes with the boxing gloves, which are really nice. Head sculpt on this is only marginal, though. I think the one in the 70s looked more like Muhammad Ali than the this one does, but the robe is a nice touch. And overall, it's a pretty nice figure from the Legends line. This was actually a knockoff figure. Well, not really a knockoff figure. It was done by a company called MC, and before Mego came back a few years back, MC was doing some variants on some of the old figures from the 70s, and this is the Andorian. And this company was headed by Paul Clark, who's known as Dr. Mego. He sells a lot of add-ons for the figures, and he's now working for Mego itself. I like the uniform on this that replicates the classic Star Trek look. Farrah Fawcett from the Legends line, in that classic pose from the 70s poster. Action Jackson. Action Jackson was their own creation back in the 70s, where they had Action Jackson figures all over the place and Action Jackson play sets. And here we get the new version of Action Jackson with the gun. From the music and movies line, Jimi Hendrix. This Jimmy has the frocked hair and the Woodstock uniform, costume, and the guitar. And Jimmy's offered a couple variants. This is the one I picked up, though, because I like the flocked hair on him. Doesn't really look a whole lot like Jimmy, but with the hair and the band, it's pretty close. The Egyptian Mummy. Now, this isn't from any of the movies. This is kind of their own take on it, but I think it's done real well. I like the head sculpt and the bandages here, and the fact that he's carrying a little bottle where he keeps his little body parts inside. So I really like this figure. Lon Chaney in the Phantom of the Opera. Really nice figure, and I love that package design. The artwork here is phenomenal. And the pose is really nice. And the head sculpt has that good classic scowl. From the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the Headless Horseman, one of my favorite figures in the horror line. I love the leather jacket here, the pants. He comes with the sword, and of course the head's detachable, so you can either have it on the body, it has a little peg on top to have it on the body, or you can have him hold it, which is what I do. Really phenomenal figure, one of my favorites, and one of my all-time favorite characters in horror, the Headless Horseman. From the movie, Pennywise. This is actually Pennywise, not from the latest motion pictures, but this is the Pennywise from the classic 70s miniseries. This was played by Tim... I forget the gentleman's name. It's the same actor who played in the Rocky Horror Picture Show as Dr. Frankenfurter, which would be a great figure if they ever decide to put that out. I love this figure, though. It comes with a balloon and the frocked hair. So this is an awesome Pennywise. Lord of the Rings, they have a couple of figures from the Lord of the Rings line. This is um, Aragorn, and he comes with the sword. And the head sculpt looks a lot like Vito Mortensen, so that's nice. I like this. Yo, Adrian! Rock, yeah, I love that package work. Head sculpt here gets a few points off. Doesn't look a whole lot like Sylvester Stallone, but I think it emulates the character well enough. And once again, he comes with the same boxing gloves that Muhammad Ali comes with. And the back of this robe has imprinted on Italian Stallion, which you can't see here. But that's a nice touch. It's a nice figure in the movies line. The Catman from Kiss comes with a snare drum. And the Spaceman from Kiss to fill out the line with his guitar. I love those disco boots he's wearing. The first time ever we get from the Wrath of Khan, Mr. Spock, Captain Spock. And they did, Mego did a really nice job here with the sculpt, although Spock does look a bit constipated here. But I like the hand with the giving the Vulcan sign, and the movie accurate phaser and communicator is a nice touch. And they did a real nice job on the uniforms on this. The actual uniforms have a Velcro strip where you can actually take the uniform and have it fold back like they did in the movie, showing the sweater underneath. So real nice job on this Mr. Spock figure. Captain Kirk, also from the Wrath of Khan, has a similar uniform and weapons. And I think they did a little bit nicer sculpt here than on the original series Kirk with the head sculpt. Looks really, really nice. And pretty movie accurate. And of course, you can't have a Wrath of Khan line without Khan himself. The original, not the J.J. Khan. This is the original Ricardo Montalban Khan from the movie. And showing a little bit of, Mego sensibilities here. The boots, I think, are actually from the Romulan figure, the Klingon figure. Been recycled. And Mego likes to recycle parts, but that's part of the charm. And I like how they have this open look and showing his chest like he did in the movie with a pendant. So real nice continuing figure. Enterprise bridge set. This is actually from the 70s. I got it from a buddy of mine in trade for a snowblower that I could no longer use. So you've seen that in some of the pictures here. That's the Enterprise playset. And there it is, populated with some of the Star Trek characters. And those transporters still work. You put a figure in the transporter, you spin it, and it looks like he's disappeared. The Klingon, this is actually an MC figure. They haven't made a Klingon in the Mego line yet. This is an MC figure that was done a few years back as a tribute to the classics 70s line. Rounding out the crew so far, Mr. Chekhov, also first done in the line. I think the only two guys they haven't done from the original series line so far is McCoy and Scotty, and those are being promised for a future line. But here's a pretty accurate Mr. Chekhov. The Fonz from Happy Days. This character, when it came back out in the 70s, actually had thumbs and a little knob on the back of the figure where if you push down the knob, he would give you the thumbs up like he did in the show. Unfortunately, they didn't replicate that for this figure. This is a straight 8-inch action figure. But they did a nice job here with the head sculpt and the pants. I didn't get any of the other, Richie or Joni, but I picked up the Fonz because that was pretty classic. Another Mr. Spock. This one without the dress uniform, with his standard Star Trek uniform and the tribbles, of course. The second Elvis variant, a little bit slightly different head sculpt because this was supposed to be an older Elvis, so we get the longer sideburns, the thicker hair on the same head with that looks like Kurt Russell, but here we get him in the 1968 Aloha outfit. I love that pose. That's done really, really well. Of course, by this time Elvis was pretty big, so he's a bit skinny here for Elvis at this time in his life, but still a good figure. The Frankenstein, that's a shirtless here with you see him with the wounds there and the chains. So this is the shirtless Frank in the horror line. And Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman in the classic 14-inch figure with the sword. Head sculpt. I guess kind of looks like the Wonder Woman from the New 52, so I'll give it a pass there. Not a bad figure. And finally, Elrond from Lord of the Rings with his bow. And this is also a very nice figure. I like his cloak in this. That's done really, really well. They had a Gandalf figure that was coming in Wave 8. I guess it's been postponed, so we won't be getting Gandalf in Wave 8, but maybe in a future wave we'll be getting it. Speaking of Wave 8, the toy fair just happened in New York City where Mego showed off several of the prototypes of and the finalized designs of some of the Wave 8 figures, and we have some of them to show here. I've ordered these already, and hopefully they'll be coming out, I believe, in May. We're getting Mr. Hyde from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, like the top hat here. The Canamet from the classic Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man, and that's one where it's a cookbook. Hopefully this will come with the cookbook. I don't see it in there, but hopefully the book will be included. Some of these are prototypes, so they may not be final design. The Fly from the classic horror movie. Now, hopefully this will come out in a flocked version as well with the furry fly head. Also, this has been rumored to come out in a couple different variants with different color shirts and robes and whatnot. But this is the Fly. I haven't seen this movie yet. The Scarecrow from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This is, I guess, is Ronald the Scarecrow. Kind of a neat figure. Now they're expanding into Star Trek The Next Generation in this wave. We're getting Lieutenant Commander Data. I like the head sculpt. That looks pretty good. And of course you can't have Data without Captain Picard with his TV show accurate phaser, although this is definitely a prototype because we're missing the insignia on his uniform. And I think this has actually been shown. I may even have a picture of it. A little bit newer prototype than this one is, but this is Captain Picard. We're getting a Stan Lee figure. I guess there'll be a couple different variants here for Stan. One in his brown jacket here, and I think we're getting one in his sweater as well. I'll see how I like the head sculpt on this. Right now, I think it looks okay, but it's very hard to tell with it in the package here from this, and this could be a prototype. But I'm kind of interested we're getting a Stan Lee figure here. This is definitely a prototype. This is Reagan from The Exorcist. And I don't know, I'd be interested to see if the head spins around. It would be nice if we had the Reagan head, the devil head on both sides on like a swivel. But this Exorcist figure is pretty neat. Oh yeah, here's the newer version, and you can see the uniform is better and a much better head sculpt on Picard here. That looks really accurate for a $14 Mego figure. I'm really impressed by that. That really looks like Patrick Stewart. And finally, these are prototypes of the 8-inch Mego superhero line. Now, when Mego put these out in the 70s, I don't know if you guys are going to be old enough to remember, they had these on the shelf in boxes. Actually, without windows, but just a complete cardboard box. And that's what they're replicating here. And I guess these designs are not final. So it looks like we're getting Batman, looks like we're getting a Black Canary from Birds of Prey, a Wonder Woman, Flash, looks like a John Stewart Green Lantern, a Superman, and another Batman for the first wave here. And those ones you see on the bottom shelf are the 14-inch figures they have out already. So I think these are coming later in 2020s, probably more toward fall or holidays. But Mego will be back with the DC line and superheroes. That's good to see. And of course, they can't do Marvel. Marvel's licensed owned by Disney. But nice to see him back. That Batman in the back there looks pretty awesome. So I can't wait to get my hands on on that. And of course, the 8-inch figures it's a much better size than the 14-inch. The 14-inch is way, really way too big. All right, and that's a little Mego overview of what I have and what's coming. And when I do get those figures in May, I'll be doing an unboxing here on the channel. And you'll get to see them in the box, and you'll get to see them out of the box. So stay tuned for that. That's coming. And once again, thank you all for watching today. Excuse my voice. I'm a little sick. I've had a cold for like the last couple of days, but I wanted to get these out and get more content for the channel. So once again, as we always say on this channel, you keep on reading and keep trekking.